everybody, Sister Terry Burney with you here today, and our topic today is free will. I teach high school at St. Monica's, and a lot of times our students will get this question, or if I'm out and about in the world, as a sister, I do teach communications at the local community college, and people will ask me, well, you know what, sister, if there really is a loving and kind and compassionate God, which I believe there is, how can so many terrible things happen? How could 9/11 happen? How could ISIS be happening? Why are all these terrible things happening? Why isn't God doing something? If you pray to him, why isn't God doing something to stop this? And I just look at them and I say, well, I'll be honest with you, there's two words. It's called free will. And God loved us so much that rather than just making us little drones to do his bidding and whatever it was that we wanted to do, or he wanted us to do, he gave us the ability to think on our own, to believe on our own, to do on our own, and really to be on our own, sort of like the best parent you could ever have, that loves you so much that when you're ready, you get pushed out into the world, and then it's your decision what kind of life you make out of that. Now, am I going to sit there and tell you that horrible things don't happen? And sometimes I won't tell you, and I really hate sometimes when people will sit there and go, well, it's God's will, when bad things happen. And I want to say that's not true. That's man's will. God's will was that we would use the love that's in our heart, that we would use the intelligence that he gave us, that we would use the spirituality that he gave us to do better. But sadly, some people aren't capable of that. And that's when bad things happen. And sometimes, sadly, innocent people get caught in the crossfire, and I'm not going to sit there that I have a reason for that. And it is heartbreaking and it is terrible. But that's free will. And I would ask you, would you rather just be under the tyranny of a God that makes you do whatever he wants or she wants you to do, rather than what you feel you need to do day to day? And you would sit there and go, no, of course not. Well, it's sort of like living in a free society here in the United States. There's risks with that. And living with being able to have free will, sadly, there's risks with that too. And I wish I could tell you I knew why those things happen, but I think sometimes, rather than shaking your hand to heaven and going, why is this happening? Why are you doing this? I think we need to shake our hands to each other and go, why are you doing this? Why can't we as a human species do better by each other? Why can't we do the things that we need to do? Why can't we move spiritually and collectively as a group and do better than what we're doing? There's no easy answer for that. And anybody that claims to give you a really easy answer, anybody that's going to sit there and say, oh, well, if you follow this or you follow that or you follow this, boom, all your problems are solved, I think that's extremely naive, to be honest with you. So I understand, we had one previous webisode that was talking about prayer and atheism. And I really understand why someone could be an atheist. And I certainly fell out of believing for a large period of time myself. But I think it's because we stop seeing the miraculous things that happen in our lives. The birth of a baby is a miracle. When, someone who's very sick turns around, that's a miracle. And sometimes when someone who's very sick doesn't turn around, we have a hard time seeing the miraculousness in that. I was talking with one of my students' parent, and his little sister is very sick with cancer, and she's in really bad shape. And so he's been out of school for a bit, just trying to figure out what they need to do. And the mom came in, and I asked her how she was doing, in light of everything. Is there anything that I could do for her, and were there any prayers that I could offer, anything like that? And she looked at me and she goes, I'm sorry, you know what? My daughter was never really my daughter. And I just kind of looked at her and she's like, my daughter is God's daughter. And God gave her to me to have on this earth for a short period of time. And every moment that I get to spend with that child and be with that child is a gift. And at the point when God decides that that child's journey on earth has ended, I'm going to freely offer that child up to God. And I'm going to rejoice that I had this time with her. You see, I do this for a living, you know. I'm supposed to have the faith. I'm supposed to have all the answers. But man, this woman's faith was just so spot on. I mean, she really got it. And I just think, you know, if more of us could have that kind of faith and that understanding of free will and, you know, just the look on her face, I can't even describe it. It was so beautiful and it was so peaceful. And a lot of people would be shaking their hands to heaven and just hating God, which again is a natural reaction. I understand that. But for this woman to be able to say and do that, I've never had children, but I can't imagine a bigger sacrifice. And the fact that she was so at peace with that, that's the kind of free will, that's the kind of faith that I think God prays for us to have. And I think that's the faith when those bad things that happen, and you have that free will to react to it either in anger and turning away, or you can react to it by embracing it and saying, this is what I have to learn, and at the point that I have learned what I needed to and this person has, I can release them. You know, being human, it ain't easy. And I think being God is a hell of a lot less easier too. It's like, again, like being the most awesome parent that you can be and letting your children make the mistakes that they make and then welcoming them home at the end of their journey because you know that's what you've got to do. So anyway, this is a little heavier webisode than I've done in the past, but I just think sometimes we have to understand what free will is. We have to embrace it, and we have to love God for the fact that we have that. And what we do with our lives and what we do with our spirituality is up to us. It's not up to God. God can guide us. God can help us. You can ask your guardian angels. You can ask any number of people for whatever your faith belief is for help along the way. But ultimately, you are the person that is responsible for how you're going to conduct yourself in this life. And if you're going to go in anger, that's your choice. That's your free will. If you're going to be like the mother who I just talked about, that's her free will. And she's at peace with that. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So anyway, I hope maybe that this has been helpful. Maybe it's raised more questions for you than it's answered. And that's okay too. Questioning is an awesome thing. I get questions from my students all the time, and I don't always have all the answers. I don't think anybody does. But anyway, sometimes the best answers come from just getting down on our hands and knees and just closing our eyes and seeing what, if you believe it's God that gives you those answers or your higher self, again, that's a beautiful thing too. So keep in mind, you have the free will to be the best person that you can be, and I know that God loves you. I know that God blesses you every single day. So have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Look who it is. It's Sister Mary Cat. It's Sister Mary Cat again. Oh, what do you pray for, Sister Mary Cat? More tuna? More tuna? That's a prayer I think I can have come true. Yes, it is. Ooh, 3D house of Sister Mary Cat. Woo, woo. Yes, you are beautiful. And I love you. Yes, I do. I love you. Okay, Sister Mary Cat, what do you pray for? You pray for patience? For me? Because I cuss you and I love you too much? Oh my goodness, Sister Mary Cat. Sister Mary Cat. Okay, you can go.